Welcome everyone. Attorney Rilus Dana here. I'm joined by my friend today, Ryan Comstock.
Hi.
Ryan is what's that?
I said, hi, Rilus.
Hello. So Ryan is a probate certified realtor, and we had a chance to work on a really fun transaction in Tucson. We're going to tell you about that. But first, let's talk about some probate basics. So
Yeah, so my question as we were talking, Rilus, is could you just explain for people what the probate process is really like here in Arizona?
yeah. And thanks for those watching live and those watching the from the future on the replay. Either way, if you have a question or a comment, go ahead and leave it. We'll try to get to it if we can here on the live or in the future as well. So I have a little presentation here about probate. Let me share my screen here. So this is the way I evaluate estates. So what to do after the loss of a loved one. First question is, what are the assets? Are there retirement accounts, life insurance, bank accounts, real estate? What are we dealing with? Ideally, you have some financial records so you can find these things, but sometimes it's kind of a search for clues, like finding statements at the house or just figuring out what they owned. All right, let's define some of the players. Decedent. What is a decedent? Have you heard that word, Ryan?
Oh, yes, all the time. It's the person who's passed away, and the family and heirs are trying to settle their estate, correct?
Correct. The dead person. So I use this little ghost to kind of represent when someone's passed away. Fiduciary. We got this little bookkeeper hat. So fiduciary is who's going to be in charge, and we got a hand for the beneficiary who gets the stuff.
I like this.
So very, very simple. Try to keep it, sixth grade level.
Yeah.
So an estate, what is an estate? Is it a large house? I mean, sometimes people say that, but what I mean in this context in estate planning, we mean everything owned by a person. So my friend here, Mr. Estate, now that he's gone, his bank account and his house that's still in his name, it's said to be in his estate. So fiduciary is the person who acts for the benefit of another. I use this green hat to represent the fiduciary. Now, fiduciary duty means that legal obligation, that obligation that they have to act in the best interest of others. Okay, so what about this? You probably get this question too. So what if there is no will? What then what? So if there's no will, the fancy word for it is called intestate. Intestate just means there's no will. So if someone did not have a will, we look to the state laws of intestacy to determine who the beneficiaries will be. And those laws, that also tells us who has the priority to serve as the personal representative. So that's what we do if there's no will.
What do you mean? What do you mean by priority?
Yeah. So yeah, by priority, let's say a person was married and then they had kids from a prior relationship. So if that person passed away, the spouse would have higher priority to serve as a personal representative than the
Okay.
kids.
All right.
Now, the kids are next in line for priority.
Okay.
Now, if a person passed away and was not married and they had just 3 kids, then each of those kids would have equal priority to serve as a personal representative. But that surviving spouse, I think that's the most common example. The surviving spouse has priority in favor of the kids.
Okay.
So all things being equal, let's say the kids wanted to be in charge and so did the surviving spouse. All things being equal, the judge is going to pick that spouse because of that priority. Now this got Uncle Sam here, just showing that you have to do a probate to activate the will. So will says who's going to be in charge, but it doesn't actually give them the authority. So this example, so a will, that's where you name the beneficiaries of your estate.
So
If you
what
have
and the will? So what you mean is the the probate gives the person the authority to do it once that's filed in court.
Correct. Yeah. So a will says who you want to be your personal representative.
Mhm.
But the example that I like to use, let's see, I have it like right here. She passed away, and we have this bank account just in her name. So even though he's listed in the will as the personal representative and the beneficiary, if he walks into the bank and says, "Hey, can I have the money?" What do you think will happen?
No.
Right. The bank will say, "We need a court order, proving that you have authority for the estate." So that's what probate is. It's that process to appoint the personal representative of the estate. And the reason we hear bad things about it is because it can take quite a bit of time. So generally like to avoid this. Now, if it's after the fact, if there's assets in the name of the deceased, this is the process to collect them. So we can do an informal probate if everyone's in agreement. Formal probate if there's any if if we don't have all the kids in agreement, then we have to have a hearing, which is called a formal probate.
Okay.
Now, what's nice about these formal probates is those are done by video as well. So
Oh,
we go
really?
to court via video. So I didn't really do those in the past, but now I don't mind doing a formal probate now that I can go to court right here in my office. I'll just put on a jacket and a tie to look presentable like you if I was going into court.
Sure.
But it's nice you can do it right from and the other person doesn't have to go to court either. So they can appear from their home.
Really? Okay.
All right. Now, is this one of your questions? How long is probate?
Yeah, that was one of my questions on what are you seeing as the normal time frame? Because for most of the probates I work on as a probate realtor, I think it's about 6 to 8 months total. But I'd love to know what you think on
I think that'd be pretty fast, I would say. So
that. Okay.
let's run through the timeline. So once someone hires us, it takes us about 2 to 3 weeks to get that first application done. And some of that is dependent on the clients, right? If we have to chase down 5 beneficiaries and get them to sign, to name their brother, that can take a while. Now, once we get everything filed, then we're usually looking at between most courts about 2 to 3 weeks to approve. So it sits there for 2 to 3 weeks before they approve it, and then we get our after our personal representative is appointed, we have to start the 4 month creditor period.
Sure.
This is, no matter what, that's why it takes at least, once we get them appointed, then we have to wait at least 4 months. Now,
Okay.
depending on the type of assets, if they're able to collect all the assets during that 4 month period, then we can close it right after that. But I have probates open, it's been years because we have things, they're trying to sell some real estate still, or there's
Really?
weird assets that can take time. But if everything's pretty straightforward and we get the house sold right away, if there is one, I usually tell people about 9 to 12 months.
9 to 12. Okay.
Okay, so this is just a quick review on that. So find the assets, define the players, and then figure out what controls. So if the house is titled in the name of the deceased, it's going to be in their estate.
Hmm.
But if it's titled in the name of a trust, it's going to be controlled by the trust. And then if accounts have beneficiaries listed, like IRAs usually have a beneficiary listed. So that beneficiary designation is going to be controlling. So the trust only controls assets that are titled in the name of the trust. Will controls assets titled in the name of the deceased. If there's no will at all, then we go to the laws of intestacy and look to see who the beneficiaries will be. And then if it's a trust, we follow the terms of a trust. All right.